Captain Elias Vance had never believed in legends. Stories of the lost stations scattered across the galaxy were often told by retired spacefarers over cheap synth coffee, tales grown taller with each retelling. Yet as he floated through the silent corridors of the Kepler 442b orbital station, the weight of centuries pressed on him. The lights flickered one after another like a heartbeat slowing down. The metal under his boots groaned in complaint as if the station itself was warning him to leave. Still, he could not turn back. Not now. The mission had seemed straightforward when the briefing first came across the fleet channels: retrieve the alien artifact from the derelict station and return it to Research Command. Simple, quick, and profitable. But as he approached the central hub, Elias felt a subtle change in the air. He could not place it at first, just a tension that made his chest tighten and his pulse quicken. The air, recycled and long since stale, carried a faint vibration he couldn't explain, like the station was alive and aware of his presence. Then he saw her. She did not step out from the shadows. She seemed to flow from them. At first, Elias thought it was a reflection of the dim lights against the walls, an illusion shaped by fatigue. But the shimmer that moved before him was real, undeniable. She was humanoid in shape, but with an elegance that defied human anatomy. Her skin glimmered faintly, reflecting colors that Elias's mind struggled to describe. Her eyes were larger than human, liquid pools that seemed to contain entire galaxies, and she was staring directly at him. Elias swallowed hard. "Hello?" His voice echoed unnaturally in the empty space. The sound seemed to disturb the shadows around her, making them ripple. She tilted her head, a movement so smooth it was almost liquid. Her gaze locked onto his, and Elias felt it deep in his bones, a sensation that was both terrifying and intoxicating. He wanted to step back, but his feet stayed rooted to the ground, curiosity overpowering caution. Then, in a voice softer than a whisper but sharper than a blade, she spoke. "Careful, human. I can feel everything." The words were more than a warning. They carried knowledge, curiosity, judgment, and perhaps even amusement. Elias felt a wave of emotion crash over him. She knew fear, desire, and hesitation all without speaking again. His mind raced. How could a being feel all this? How could she reach inside him without touching? Elias took another step forward. His hand hovered near the utility belt at his side, fingers brushing the cool metal of the plasma cutter. The station felt suddenly alive, responding to every heartbeat, every movement. She moved as if she anticipated him, her form stretching and bending slightly with the shadows, always keeping just enough distance to remain untouchable. What are you?" he asked, voice tighter now, uneven with awe and fear. She smiled, though it was not a full smile, more like a ripple across her face, shifting and fluid. "I am what remains. I am what watches. I am what waits." Elias's mind reeled. He had expected alien intelligence before, maybe a sentient drone, a virus, or even a recording. But this was something else entirely. She was alive, but not like any life he had ever studied. The way she seemed to know him, to feel every micro-reaction, made his skin prickle. The station hummed faintly, a vibration that was almost musical. Every step he took seemed amplified, every breath recorded in the vast emptiness. He realized that the station itself might be linked to her, perhaps an extension of her awareness. The realization sent a chill down his spine. If she felt everything, then nothing could be hidden. Not fear, not intent, not weakness. "Are you guarding something?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," she replied, voice softer now, almost a lullaby in the quiet metal halls. "Many guard, many wait, few endure, few reach this far." Elias felt a swell of determination rise within him. Humanity had survived against odds that should have ended them countless times. Against starvation, against disease, against endless war in the void they had endured. He would not turn back now, and yet he could not shake the feeling that she was testing him, probing the very essence of who he was. He stepped closer, this time deliberately. Every nerve screamed caution, but he forced his steps forward. "I am Captain Elias Vance of the United Earth Fleet. I have come to retrieve what is needed for my people." She paused, her fluid form halting mid-motion. The glow of her eyes deepened, and for a moment, the entire station seemed to hold its breath. Then she spoke slowly, almost as if tasting the words before releasing them. "Many come for what they desire. Few understand what they seek, human. You feel differently." Her words struck him in a way he could not describe. It was as if she could sense not only his desire but also his restraint, his empathy, and perhaps even his courage. He had expected to be frightened, to face a threat that required weapons or cunning. Instead, he faced something profoundly intelligent, something that seemed capable of seeing into his very being. The corridor ahead flickered, and Elias realized the station was unstable. Lights went out. Alarms that had no sound in decades blinked into life, and the metal underfoot shuddered. She moved, stepping aside, her form merging with shadows yet remaining distinct. The path you seek is not simple. Choices are seen, intentions revealed. Elias nodded, unsure if she could see the gesture, but he felt compelled to respond. I can make choices. I can endure consequences. I can feel everything. She interrupted, her voice echoing inside his mind as much as his ears. Yes, that is why so few survive. That is why you must tread carefully. The walls seemed to bend around him now. Shadows stretched longer, folding over each other. He could hear the faint hum of machinery somewhere deep in the station, a heartbeat that was not his own. She floated closer, and Elias felt the pull of something immense, something beyond comprehension, yet intimately personal. Why me? He asked quietly. Why now? She looked at him, her eyes catching every glint of the weak light. Because you are human, because you can endure, because you can rise beyond what others fear. I can feel everything, yes, but I cannot yet know what you might do. Elias understood then that this was no ordinary mission. He had not simply stumbled onto an abandoned station. He had entered a crucible, a test, a place where his humanity, his instincts, and his courage would be measured in ways he could not yet predict, and somehow he welcomed it. The shadows shifted again, and she gestured toward the far end of the hall, where a faint glow marked the artifact's resting place. Proceed. But know this, human, the path does not bend to desire. It bends to understanding, to endurance, to courage. He swallowed, feeling the weight of her presence pressing against him, aware that every thought, every movement, every heartbeat was known to her. He took the first careful step forward, knowing that the adventure ahead would change not just his life, but perhaps the understanding of humanity itself. And yet, even as fear coiled in his stomach, Elias felt a spark of pride, a reminder of why humanity had endured so long against impossible odds. He was human. He was flawed. He was fearless in the ways that mattered most. The station seemed to hum in response, and he felt her presence ripple through him like water over stones. This was only the beginning. Elias moved carefully down the hall, each step measured, his senses alert to the subtle shifts in the station around him. The lights flickered with an almost rhythmic pulse, shadows sliding along the walls like living things. His heart beat fast, not from fear alone, but from the awe of standing in the presence of something so alien, so profoundly aware. He knew that every thought, every hesitation, every instinct was sensed by her. The awareness was both terrifying and motivating, a challenge that humans like him had always been drawn to. The glow at the far end of the corridor grew brighter as he approached, revealing the object of his mission. The artifact rested on a pedestal, seemingly small but radiating a hum of energy that set his teeth on edge. It was crystalline in shape, facets catching the weak light and refracting it into colors his eyes had no names for. As he drew near, he sensed her presence even more strongly, coiling around him like an invisible tide. You can take it, she said, voice echoing softly through the station. But taking it is not the same as understanding it. Many have tried. Many have failed. Elias studied the artifact, reaching out a gloved hand. He felt a faint tingle at his fingertips, an almost magnetic pull, and hesitated. Failed how? He asked. What happens to them? Her form shimmered closer, folding with the shadows until she was at his side, yet not touching. The station tests. It reveals truth. Those unprepared are lost to fear, to themselves, or to the echoes of what they desire most. Elias exhaled slowly, steadying his nerves. Humanity had faced death before in countless forms on countless worlds. They had endured, adapted, and survived. If this station, this being was testing him, then he would not fail. He would find a way forward because that was what humans did. He set his hand on the artifact. A rush of sensation exploded in his mind, images, thoughts, and emotions not his own flooding him for a brief moment. He saw visions of distant stars, civilizations rising and falling, and a presence that watched them all with patience that spanned eons. He felt the loneliness of those who had come before, the weight of their failure pressing down, and the urgency of the choices that must be made. Elias closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He reached inside himself, drawing on everything that made him human: courage, empathy, creativity, and stubbornness. He focused on the clarity of purpose, the simple truth that he was not here for greed, not for glory, but to bring knowledge back to those who needed it. Slowly, the overwhelming tide of sensation began to ebb, and the artifact's hum shifted into a steady, almost welcoming pulse. She observed him silently, her eyes reflecting the myriad colors of the artifact. "You feel differently," she murmured. "Not because you are strong, not because you are clever, but because you choose to face what you do not understand. Few can." Elias opened his eyes. "Then this is what you mean by careful. It isn't about fear. It's about understanding." Her form rippled, a movement of light and shadow that suggested a smile. "Yes, human. You understand more than many who have come before. But the trial is not yet complete. Understanding is not enough. Action is required." The station shuddered suddenly, metal groaning as if it were alive and reacting to his presence. Alarms that had no sound for centuries blinked into life, lights flickering violently. He realized then that the test had only begun. The artifact's energy surged, reacting to his choices, and the corridors of the station seemed to fold upon themselves. Pathways appeared and disappeared, walls shifting, creating new obstacles and challenges. Elias moved quickly, keeping his focus on the artifact, while his mind processed the new dangers. There were no weapons that could solve this puzzle, no brute force that could overcome it. Only human ingenuity, adaptability, and determination would see him through. He recalled lessons from his training, from every mission he had ever undertaken: observation, patience, and courage under pressure. Step by careful step, he navigated the shifting hallways, guided by intuition and the faint whispers of the alien presence. Hours, or perhaps minutes. Time had lost its meaning here, passed as he worked his way toward the core chamber of the station. The artifact's pull grew stronger, a constant tug that threatened to overwhelm his senses again. He paused, breathing slowly, centering himself. Humans had survived impossible odds, often by relying on instincts that transcended simple logic. He reached deep into that instinct, feeling for patterns in the chaos, understanding the rhythm of the station, and moving in harmony with it rather than against it. Finally, he entered the central chamber. The room was enormous, cylindrical, with a dome of transparent alloy that revealed the stars beyond. The artifact floated above a pedestal in the center, radiating light that filled the chamber with colors no human words could describe. The station's energy converged here, a symphony of light, sound, and vibration, and she was there, hovering near the artifact, her form shifting in mesmerizing waves. "You have come far, human," she said, "but the final choice is yours." Elias stepped closer, eyes locked on the artifact. "I will do what must be done," he said, voice steady. "I will understand, and I will carry it safely for my people." Her gaze softened, a gesture that was almost maternal in its warmth. "Then you must decide. Will you take only the knowledge, or will you take the burden as well?" He considered her words carefully. The knowledge was valuable, priceless, but the burden could change humanity. It could give them insight into things they were not ready for, but also the chance to survive challenges they could not yet imagine. Humanity had always risked everything for survival, for progress. The answer was clear. "I will take both," he said firmly. "I will carry the burden because humanity is stronger for facing what we do not understand." The moment he spoke, the artifact's light expanded, surrounding him in a brilliant glow. Elias felt the energy enter him, not as an overwhelming flood this time, but as a steady stream he could channel, control, and understand. His mind expanded, taking in knowledge of distant worlds, advanced technologies, and the intricacies of a civilization far older than humanity. He could feel the pain and joy of those who had come before, the lessons they had learned, and the wisdom they left behind. The alien presence shifted closer. "You have endured, human. You have understood and acted. Few ever achieve this. Humanity is worthy because you choose to rise." Elias gasped, the station trembling around him as the energy settled. The artifact hovered steadily above him, and the corridors ceased their shifting, the shadows returning to their natural forms. He felt a bond with her, a connection that transcended species, a recognition of mutual understanding and respect. I understand," he whispered. "Thank you for trusting me." Her form shimmered one last time, dissolving into the light of the artifact. "Trust is earned, human, and you have earned it. Go and carry this knowledge with wisdom, courage, and heart. Humanity's path will now change, because you have chosen to rise." Elias turned toward the exit, the artifact now safely contained in the protective field of his suit. The station seemed to sigh, metal groaning softly, lights stabilizing. As he floated through the corridors on his way back to the shuttle, he felt a surge of pride, not just in himself, but in humanity. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger. They had endured a trial that would have destroyed others, and they had prevailed. When he reached his shuttle, he looked back at the station, the stars behind it glittering like a promise. The alien presence was gone, but its impact remained etched into his mind, a reminder of the heights humanity could reach when they faced the impossible with courage and heart. Elias initiated the launch sequence. As the shuttle lifted from orbit, he felt the artifact's hum steady, a soft vibration that resonated with his own heartbeat. The galaxy stretched before him, vast and full of challenges yet to come. But he no longer feared the unknown. He was human, and humanity thrived on facing the impossible, on learning, on adapting, and on rising above every test. The station faded behind him, a distant silhouette against the endless black of space. But its lesson remained, that humans with courage, empathy, and determination could endure anything. That even in the face of beings who could feel everything, humans had the strength to rise. And as the shuttle sped toward Earth, Elias allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity had met the unknown and prevailed. The universe would never underestimate them again.